Fortune favors the infamous.
Luthor Harkon's origins are as unclear and shrouded in darkness as his story itself. Some legends suggest that Harkon was once one of the chieftains of the Harkoni tribe, resident near Lahmia. Others, however, propose that he may have arisen as a mortal necromancer in the mountainous regions of the Eastern Empire. What is certain is that Harkon's mind is fractured, preventing him from remembering his past with clarity. This mystery further intensifies his dark and enigmatic nature. Harkon's first significant appearance in history occurred in 876 when a Northern ship discovered him. When the Northern pirates opened Harkon's coffin, they found themselves transformed into undead creatures, cursed by Harkon's immortal curse. These transformed pirates became the first servants in Harkon's undead army, and thus the foundation of the infamous vampire cause was laid. The vampire coast, built by Harkon and his undead forces, became a dark and a magical empire that stretched along the eastern shores of Lustria. Harkon, driven by his thirst for power and the desire to seize ancient artifacts, launched relentless attacks upon these lands. His ambition was not only to annihilate the ancient Lizardmen civilization, but also to claim their potent magical power for himself. Harkon's strength was fueled by the winds of magic, specifically Shais and Thaw. These winds strengthened his undead army, consolidating his domination over the seas. With every passing day, Harkon's power grew, his forces expanding, and his attacks on the Lizardmen's sacred cities intensified. However, with each victory came a price, as his increasing success also deepened his descent into madness. One of the darkest chapters of Harkon's tale occurred when he attacked the ancient Lizardman city of Wattle. During this assault, Harkon and his army attempted to break the powerful magical seals guarding the heart of the city. Yet, these seals proved to be stronger than expected and began to drain Harkon's magical energy. This event shattered Harkon's mind, fracturing his psyche into multiple personalities. Now, while Harkon could still act as a strategic commander at times, he increasingly exhibited signs of madness. This mental collapse became both his greatest strength and his most significant weakness. Tough, unpredictable, and dangerous, Harkon's fractured mind made it difficult for even his enemies to anticipate his next move. Agreed to join forces with the Dark Elves in exchange for their assistance in his own goals. His alliance will lead to a major assault on the Chocabloc's temple city. Morate, with Harkon's zombie pirates, launched a raid on the Chocabloc's temple to plunder its magical artifacts, while Harkon's forces battled the temple's ancient defenders. Morate and her warriors looted the treasure within. Harkon, eager to claim his share, sought a chest filled with black pearls, but Morate betrayed him. Seeing Harkon's desperation, she tricked him and trapped him within a chamber beneath the temple. This betrayal nearly destroyed Harkon, showing just how dangerous his lust for power and magical artifacts could be. Despite the betrayal, Harkon's undying survival instinct allowed him to endure. His resilience and immortality proved that even betrayal by the Dark Elves could not fully destroy him. The incident deepened Harkon's madness, yet also demonstrated his tenacity as a dangerous and fearless leader. Luthor Harkon's strength wasn't just drawn from his madness and immortality, but also from his dark and undead forces. His fleet, like himself, was filled with deathless horrors, from zombie pirates to ghost ships that haunted the seas. One of the most noteworthy figures in Harkon's fleet was his right-hand man, Captain Drekla. Commanding the routing ship Desolation, Captain Drekla was Harkon's most loyal and deadly commander. A ruthless fighter and strategist, Drekla led Harkon's forces both at sea and on land. His mastery of the sword and hook in the battle made him a feared opponent, and he often saved Harkon from his own reckless decisions during fights. Drekla, in many ways, served as the stabilizing force in Harkon's increasingly unbalanced mind. Harkon's fleet also included the Black Coffin, a massive flagship carrying on one of his most feared weapons, Queen Bess. This Hellhammer cannon was capable of destroying entire cities with a single blast. With the Black Coffin and its terrible weapons, Harkon ruled the seas with terror. Among his undead fleet were ghost ships and other monstrous entities like the Mortis Shark, undead sea creatures that circled his ships and attacked enemies. Harkon's fleet was feared as one of the most dangerous forces across the seas. One of Harkon's greatest victories came in 1351, when he led a massive assault on the Lizardmen's sacred city of Axolotl. With his zombie pirate army, Harkon stormed the city, breaking through its powerful defenses. Despite the efforts of king priests to evacuate the city's most valuable magical items, Harkon's forces plundered many critical artifacts. The fall of Axolotl left a lasting scare on the Lizardmen's history, and in the aftermath, the Slann mage priest sought every means to destroy Harkon's empire at the vampire cost. Yet, Harkon's obsession with the Slann magical relics only grew deeper. Each victory added to his power, but it also drove him further into madness, as he continued to search for a cure for his fractured mind. Despite his many victories, an intense internal battle raged within Luthor Harkon. The catastrophe at Hotel had fractured his mind irreversibly. Now his personality was split between several conflicting identities, each fighting for dominance. This mental fragmentation became both his greatest vulnerability and the most unpredictable aspect of his leadership. One moment he could act as a brilliant strategist, the next he would make erratic and irrational decisions. This constant mental conflict affected every aspect of Harkon's existence. Sometimes he would become entirely paralyzed, unable to make decisions, as the various personalities inside his mind waged war. This internal turmoil often affected his military campaigns and alliances, leading to chaotic outcomes. Harkon's undead fleet was not only feared along the vampire coast, but it also spread terror across the entire Warhammer world. To assume that his fleet was comprised solely of zombies and ghosts would be a grave mistake. Harkon assembled a terrifying force of undead creatures, including Felbats, wraiths, and other horrors that emerged from depths of the oceans. But the most dangerous of all were the ghost ship, vessels sustained by Harkon's necromantic powers. This ship could move seamlessly between the physical and ethereal realms, launching devastating attacks on unsuspecting enemies. From Naggaroth to Ultuan, even to Telia and Estelia, sailors spoke in hushed tones about the fearsome reach of Harkon's navy. Each part of Harkon's fleet was meticulously designed for destruction. At the heart of this armada was the Black Coffin, not only armed with the deadly Hellhammer cannon, but also commanded by white captains and dread wraiths, creatures who carried out Harkon's orders without question. Figures such as White Lord Balto and Captain Jacob Crownest were among his most feared captains, leading terrifying forces that struck fear into all who sailed the seas. These undead leaders were loyal to Harkon, serving his will to dominate the oceans. Additionally, the Queen Bess, Harkon's massive Hellhammer cannon housed on the Black Coffin, was one of the most feared weapons of the seas. With a single thunderous shot, it could obliterate entire fleets or coastal fortifications, ensuring Harkon's reign of terror remained unchallenged. The fracture in Luthor Harkon's mind was not merely the result of a magical accident, it reflected a deeper void within his soul. Harkon's ultimate goal wasn't just to achieve immortality, but to transcend it. He yearned to free his mind and soul from torment of madness and ascend to a state of ultimate power. To this end, Harkon sought not only magical artifacts, but also the ancient knowledge of the Slann and wisdom of the Lizardmen. He believed that within their hidden temples lay the secrets that could reunite his fractured mind and make him truly invincible. When Harkon led his force into Axolotl, he wasn't merely searching for riches or victory, he sought something deeper, the cure to his madness. Tough, his undead legions razed the city and claimed its magical treasures. Harkon never found the answer he so desperately desired. Each failed attempt to heal his broken peace only plunged him further into madness, with the ever-present fear that he might never be whole again. This obsession with Slann artifacts and ancient Lizardmen lore became Harkon's undoing. While it fed his strength and increased his knowledge, it also deepened rift in his mind, pushing him to more extreme measures. His victories over the Lizardmen, such as Axolotl and Wattle, only fueled his desperate search for a cure that seemed always just out of reach. Luthor Harkon, who had reigned as the pirate king of the seas, finally met his fate during the end times, a cataclysm and event that threatened both the living and the undead. When the forces of chaos sought to destroy the world, Harkon found himself facing a threat even greater than the seas he had once ruled. Now, he was no longer merely fighting for control of the vampire coast. He was struggling to survive and preserve his undead existence. Nagai's return changed everything. Harkon, once a pirate lord, became one of Nagai's most powerful generals, claiming the title Mortar of the Abyss. He now commanded vast legions of undead as one of the leaders in Nagai's war against chaos. However, Harkon's mind, as fractured as ever, clouded his judgment. The chaos within him made it difficult to lead the clarity required in the war against the lost armies of chaos. Yet, under Nagai's dominion, Harkon was once again thrust into battle. As chaos force invaded the dark lands of Sylvania, Luthor Harkon took his undead pirate force to Grimoire, setting up his defenses alongside Nagai's forces. Isabella von Karstein and the Nameless, leading the demonic forces of Nurgle, attacked the land while Harkon's zombies formed the front lines on the southern hills. However, Harkon's madness complicated every moment of the battle. His multiple personalities vied for control over his decisions, leading to erratic strategies. One moment he was a brilliant commander, the next he was paralyzed by indecision or engaging in completely irrational tactics. At the start of the battle, Harkon's forces put up a strong resistance against the plague bearers of Nurgle. His zombies, under his direct command from the Black Coffin, fired devastating bombardments at the advancing chaos forces. The mighty Queen Bess tore through enemy lines, wreaking havoc. But as the battle progressed, Harkon's mind began to unravel even further. Captain Drekla, his trusted right hand, took command in Harkon's absence, trying to maintain order amidst the growing chaos. As the battle reached its peak, Harkon's forces clashed with the demonic legions of Nurgle. With pleasure bears pressed hard on Harkon's defenses, and within his mind, the battle between his fractured personalities reached its zenith. Sometimes he would give clear command, at other times he would become entirely still, lost within his mental labyrinth. In those moments, Drekla stepped in to lead the undead forces. At chaos, relentless onslaught pushed them to the brink. In the midst of the battle, a colossal great unclean one of Nurgle's most powerful demons, lumbered into Harkon's forces, spreading death and corruption with every step. Despite his madness, Harkon leaped into fray, determined to fight this monstrous foe. Captain Drekla, ever loyal, sacrificed himself to protect Harkon, shielding his master from a deadly blow as Drekla's body was torn apart. Harkon, with his shattered mind, pressed forward, seeking vengeance for his fallen comrade. Harkon attacked the great Uncle One with all his strength, driving his sword deep into demon's bloated belly. Putrid ichor poured out as Harkon dealt a killing blow. However, this victory came at a cost, as an even greater threat now loomed over him: Isabella von Karstein. Isabella, corrupted by Nurgle's dark power, was no longer the ally Harkon once knew. She was now a deadly enemy, a vessel for Nurgle's plague and vengeance. When Harkon confronted her, he found himself facing a foe far more powerful than he had expected. Despite his madness, Harkon tried to fight, but Isabella's strength overwhelmed him. The pleasure bears bound Harkon in place, rendering him helpless. Isabella, without uttering a word, gazed into his eyes, her sword gleaming as they struck. Harkon's arm was severed, and his screams echoed across the battlefield. As Isabella's force held his broken body, she smiled curly and began to drain his essence. Harkon's immortal form began to dissolve, corrupted by Nurgle's plague, and in the end, Luthor Harkon's quest for power and immortality led him to a gruesome and ignoble fate. His immortal soul, once feared and revered, became just another casualty of the end times, consumed by the very forces he sought to defy. Luthor Harkon, once a pirate king of unparalleled power and ambition, was ultimately brought down by the madness within him and the forces of chaos. His reign of terror over the seas ended not with glory, but with disintegration and defeat. His fractured mind, the driving force behind his endless search for power, became his undoing. Yet, Harkon's legacy of terror lives on. The vampire coast remains haunted by his presence, and his name will continue to be whispered in fear by those who sail the seas. His ghostly fleet, drifting through the fog, serves as a lasting reminder of the terror and madness he left behind.